Have you ever had one of those dreams that was so vivid, so real, it felt like it was trying to tell you something? Well, today we're going to do just that. We're embarking on an inner journey, exploring that hidden landscape of the human psyche. And our guide isn't going to be some dry textbook, but a fascinating, real-life case study. We're doing a deep dive into the dreams and symbols that literally mapped out one man's incredible path to self-discovery. It's a strange thought, isn't it? We can map distant galaxies, we can look at the tiniest particles, but the landscape of our own minds, that often remains a total mystery. And when the unconscious speaks to us through our dreams, it can feel just like this, like we're encountering something ancient, powerful, and mysterious that we just don't have the language for yet. And that's exactly where we're heading today. So let's meet our traveler on this journey. We're going to call him Henry. Now, on the surface, he's just a young man, but internally, he was standing at a profound crossroads, even if he didn't fully realize it yet. Now get this. Henry's analysis was remarkably brief, but unbelievably intense. Over just 9 months and only 35 sessions, his unconscious basically unleashed a flood of over 50 dreams. It was like it was pushing him onto a fast track of personal growth. So what exactly was going on with Henry? Well, on the surface, a pretty typical 25-year-old. But when you dig a little deeper, he was grappling with this deep-seated passivity, a real fear of life, and this heavy unconscious influence from his mother. And all he knew was this powerful, vague feeling that something had to change. This was the complex inner world he was about to step into. Okay, so this is where things get really interesting. His dreams. All of a sudden, his inner world started populating with these powerful, symbolic figures that were about to both guide him and seriously challenge him on his journey. And boom, all of a sudden, Henry's dreams are filled with these strange, inhuman monsters. And as the quote says, he had every reason to be afraid. These figures are what the psychologist Carl Jung called the shadow, all those parts of ourselves that we push down, deny, or just don't want to look at. And confronting them, absolutely essential for growth, but man, it is rarely comfortable. But it wasn't all just monsters. 2 very important female figures also started appearing in his dreams. In Jungian psychology, these are expressions of what's called the Anima, the internal feminine side of a man's psyche. And for Henry, this part of himself was clearly, desperately calling out for his attention. And this is where we see this fascinating split. On one hand, you have the saint figure, who he immediately connected to his real-life fiancée. She represented his conscious outer world. But then there was the humped-backed girl. She was this mysterious guide from his unconscious. She was the one who was pulling him inward, away from that passivity, and toward the real truth of his own soul. All this inner tension, this push and pull, it was building to something. It eventually culminated in a major turning point in Henry's analysis, and it arrived in the form of this incredibly powerful, almost prophetic dream. So picture this. In the dream, Henry finds himself on this epic journey to a city perched on a mountain. But his path is blocked by 4 shadowy gatekeepers. The only way he can pass is to have his fate decided by an oracle. I mean, you can just feel the weight of it, right? It's a classic quest, and he needs a kind of wisdom that he just doesn't have yet. And that's the real kicker. The dream was basically screaming at him that his rational, everyday mind had hit its limits. This situation called for a totally different kind of wisdom. So his analyst suggested something really interesting, consulting the I Ching, the ancient Chinese book of changes, to try and build a bridge between his conscious mind and the deep wisdom trying to break through. But wait a second. 4 gatekeepers? Why 4? That seems so specific. Well, in Jungian psychology, numbers in dreams are never random, and the number 4, it holds this special, incredibly profound significance. It all points to this incredible idea called the Quaternity, an ancient archetype for wholeness. Just think about it for a second. The 4 seasons, the 4 elements, the 4 directions. 4 represents a complete, stable system where everything is in balance. And ultimately, it's a symbol for the integrated self. So you see where this is going, right? His dream was literally mapping out his inner process. The 4 gatekeepers weren't just obstacles. In a weird way, they were the goal. They symbolized the very wholeness he was striving for. To get past them meant he had to integrate all the conflicting parts of himself and find a whole new level of balance. So if getting past the gatekeepers was the trial, what about the destination? What was he trying to get to? Let's take a closer look at the goal of his journey, the city on the mountain. And this city, it isn't just some random place. No way.
It's another hugely powerful symbol for the ultimate goal of his quest, finding the very center of his being, the self.
The fact that it's on a mountain is so important. In myths and dreams, climbing a mountain always means effort, it means a trial, and finally, it means a higher state of consciousness. It's all about getting a new perspective, a place of revelation, high above the fog of all your everyday problems. So when you put it all together, the city is a symbol of the self, that innermost center of our entire psyche. And its layout is like a mandala, that ancient symbol of unity and wholeness. It's like Henry's unconscious wasn't just giving him riddles, it was handing him a blueprint to the very core of his own soul. So, after all this crazy 9-month flood of symbols from his unconscious, what actually happened? How did it change Henry's real life? What was the result of it all? Well, the outcome was nothing short of an accelerated maturation. By wrestling with these powerful inner symbols, Henry really transformed. He grew into a more independent, responsible person and began to finally overcome that deep-seated passivity and fear of life he started with. In Jungian terms, you could say Henry basically completed the first half of a lifelong journey called individuation. He'd strengthened his ego and was initiated into the reality of adult life. But the second half of that journey, forging a conscious, working relationship between his ego and that central self, the city, well, that was a quest that would last the rest of his life. Henry's story is it's such a powerful reminder that our unconscious is always speaking to us, always offering us a map of the territory ahead. He finished the first leg of his journey, sure, but that second half is a task for a lifetime. So it kind of leaves you with a final thought, right? What symbols might be showing up in your life, trying to guide your journey?